Whenever you're ready.
All right. Good morning. Your Honors, my name is Avery Thornton, and I am here to represent Jefferson High School, the respondent in this case. If it pleases the court, Jefferson High School respectfully asks that this court affirm the appeal from the U.S. Moot Circuit Court of Appeals for these two reasons. For Jefferson High School for these two reasons. One, the punishment Julie Turner received for her comments did not violate her First Amendment rights, because under Tinker, schools can censor speech that causes a material and substantial disruption. And for two, Jefferson High School can censor Julie Turner's comments because the message board is maintained by the school and the censorship is reasonably related to legitimate pedagogical goals. Your Honors, this case is about whether or not Julie Turner's First Amendment rights were violated when she intentionally and willingly posted sexually lewd comments that pertained to drug use and promoted illegal or irresponsible drug use or sale at the school. Now,
Counsel, did she really promote the sale of illegal drugs at school? Is that supported in the record?
it is, well, it may not be supported in the record, but she did open the door for it. Now, on Jefferson High School campus,
You're going to dig yourself down a hole. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Realize when you make a mistake, it's okay to admit it. Say, you know what, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I misspoke.
Okay.
And then backpedal, because you're going to get yourself dug into a hole and they're not going to let you get out of it, and it's just going to drag you down the whole time.
Yeah, I noticed that, 'cause that's not even a thing. I just need to stop on it.
Yeah, if you mess up and you say something that's not something supported in the record, don't let them drag you down. Acknowledge that you made a mistake. It's much better to do that than to try to talk your way out of it. It's not going to work. Got it?
Okay.
Cool. All right, keep going.
I made a mistake, Your Honor. Please forgive me.
You are forgiven.
Which leads me to my first point. The punishment Julie Turner received for her comments did not violate her First Amendment rights because under Tinker, schools can censor speech that can cause material or substantial disruption. Now, in Tinker, students wore black armbands to silently protest the Vietnam War. The Supreme Court held that schools cannot punish students for comments that could, without evidence of a material or substantial disruption. But however, there was a material and substantial disruption in this case before us today. The comments Julie Turner made were printed out by another student and brought into classes where the student openly flaunted them and caused a disruption within the classroom.
What is material and substantial disruption? Where does this come from? Why do we care?
Well, a material and substantial disruption is anything that deters something from its natural course of action. Now, these comments deterred the class from starting on time.
What do you mean? Where do you get that from? Deters from its natural course of action. Did you make that up?
That was my own personal definition. I just have to use a real definition for material and substantial disruption.
Well, you have to tell us about Tinker and where it comes from and what it means in that context so we can apply it in this one.
Oh,
right?
you want me to? Okay, you want me to say what material and substantial disruption means in Tinker? Okay.
Yeah. Remember, give us the test and
Okay.
then apply the facts.
All right. Well, in Tinker, as I said before, the students wore black armbands to silently protest the Vietnam War. Now, as the Supreme Court held, these did not interrupt the school because they merely just wore black armbands. They didn't do anything different from their normal school day. They still went to their classes. They still did their work. They merely just had black armbands. Now, the administration, however, thought that this was a material and substantial disruption, that they were being vulgar and nasty, I guess, in their way for protesting it. But the Supreme Court felt otherwise. But in the case before us today, there was a material and substantial disruption, something that did disrupt the school from its course of action. Julie Turner made comments on a school-maintained message board from which another student printed them out and flaunted them in class, which made the class start late because the teacher could not even confiscate them until after the bell had rang.
So even if this was somewhat of a disruption on campus, I mean, didn't Julie make these comments off campus on her home computer? Are we really going to start allowing the courts and the schools to punish students for speech that they make when they're not even at school? I mean, where do we draw the line?
Well, take Layshock versus the Hermitage School District. A senior created a false MySpace page that included a description of the principal using alcohol and illegal drug use in his position and in his office. The Third Circuit Court held that the MySpace page is protected under the First Amendment and he could not be punished. But we're not talking about a MySpace page in this case. We're talking about a school-sponsored webpage from which everyone in the school community can view. She made it where not just her friends could see it like on Facebook or MySpace. She made it where teachers, staff, faculty, parents, and students could all see it. She openly knew what her audience was, and she wanted to get something out to disrupt this audience from just talking about school. Now, the comments Julie Turner made were sexual and lewd in nature. She referenced Viagra after stating that the Principal Short abuses his power and he does this to compensate for something. Now, this is sexual and lewd because compensating for something, Viagra, doesn't take much thought to think sex. For one, Viagra, it's used for one purpose and one purpose only: performance in the bedroom. Now, on to my second point. Jefferson High School can censor Julie's comments because the message board is maintained by the school, and the censorship was reasonably related to legitimate pedagogical goals. Now,
Counsel, what are those pedagogical goals that you're referring to?
Thank you for asking. The first pedagogical goal is a drug-free environment. The second pedagogical goal is to discipline students. The third is an interest in protecting the students. Now, the first one, as I stated, was a drug-free environment. Julie Turner, in her comments, promoted illegal drug use. She told students to do a better job of hiding the prescription drugs in their lockers. This openly promotes illegal or irresponsible drug use, because on the Jefferson High School campus, there is a policy in place stating that all students that need to take prescription drugs are to give them to the nurse. This policy was set in place because Jefferson High School had a problem with students selling drugs on the campus. And by telling students to blatantly disobey this policy, she's opening the door for illegal drug actions to happen on the campus again. Now,
So we should censor her speech because some other students might do illegal activity on their own?
well, Julie Turner was a member of student council, student government, and she has power and influence at the school. She's somebody that students should look up to. So if somebody that we should look up to tells us to do this, wouldn't you want to follow them?
Not if it was illegal.
Well, if, say, tell your, think of your parents, you and your parents, and if your parents tell you to do something, wouldn't you do it, no matter if it was illegal or not? If they really needed it, they say you had no money, and they say, hey, just, I don't know.
It's all right. Move on.
That was horrible. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mrs.
What was the second pedagogical goal?
Authority to discipline students. Now, second pedagogical goal is the authority to discipline students. Julie Turner undermined Principal Short's authority to discipline. She openly said that the punishment was too short and that he should be punished himself. Julie Turner doesn't know all the information surrounding why Tyler Poole got the full punishment, why he got 10 days instead of just the minimum of 7. He could have been the worst student ever. He could have said stuff to escalate his suspension. She does not know all the facts. Therefore, she has no right in saying that Principal Short was too harsh or that he should be punished himself. Now, Your Honors, Julie Turner, I see that I've reached the end of my time. May I take a few minutes?
30 seconds.
Oh, it's 30 seconds? Oh, okay. Your Honors, Julie Turner is a reckless person that knowingly and willingly knew what she did by posting these irresponsible comments on a school-sponsored message board. She made sexual and lewd comments pertaining to Viagra, and she openly promoted illegal or irresponsible drug use on the Jefferson High School campus.